Hi there, and welcome back to the History of Fleetwood Mac. I'm Anita. Today we are going to start on Volume 5, Episode 1 of my scrapbooks, and we are starting with Belladonna, which is such a fun moment in Stevie Nicks' Fleetwood Mac history time to share. There's some really great pictures in here and some articles, and this volume just has a lot of stuff that I really like. Still, not my least favorite, and I'm not picking on Belladonna era at all. It's a magical, wonderful time of Stevie Nicks, but Belladonna into Mirage definitely really getting up there into my absolute favorite peak photo love. And it really starts to show with some of these and again, some really special stuff. So I'm going to start right off. This is just an opening page because I think it was left over from the Tusk stuff. It was just in there and it needs to go back in there, but it's the way it has been. But this other page that I started, don't scream. If you can believe it, I cut up the HBO poster. I had this HBO poster for 100 years. The HBO, Belladonna Special Live poster, which is an extremely rare, hard to find poster. And they had a lot of damage. And I had folded it, and there's still, and I put it up everywhere I lived and I was at when I was young. And finally, it bit the dust, and I cut it up. And this picture is salvaged from that poster. What I will say is that since I think I had one, and then a really dear friend of mine who I missed terribly and have completely lost touch with was going through his collection. I knew him since I was like in high school, and he worked at a bookstore, and he was a big Stevie Nicks fan. Not a real big collector, but he had some stuff. And he gifted me a HBO Belladonna poster, which is mint. It's like it just got made yesterday. And I've had that carefully rolled up and put away pretty much ever since he got it. He gave it to me because I just would like to get it framed one day and not have what happened to this poster. But this was salvaged, and this was, again, one of the first pages I made. It's put up on like fabric, like the shiny fabric, probably about 1997 or so. So this was the start of my, what was going to be the Belladonna chapter, but as we all know, is turned into the Belladonna book, one of many volumes. It went hand in hand with this next page, which again was a whole bunch of cut up of the inside of the Belladonna album. So this is cut out of a cover. This is cut off the back cover. Now that, we've all had extra copies of albums. I hate doing it, but this one, just the album, everything. I don't even know if I had the album. It's just an extra cover. And then this came in one of the books that I had shown you guys. I think it was a little pocket book that was all the songs of Fleetwood Mac, and this was a picture in there, and I had it blown up. So it's a copy from a book, but it was just super exciting when this picture came out. And then I cut out the lyrics, and then this one I think was just, actually I have many of these. This was like a Best Buy ad that came out much later. And of course it goes with Belladonna, even though it's part of the 1998 photography and promotional stuff, but I just thought it went well in here. A Xerox. Again, just the beginning pages. You can tell with all the corny little stickers, little witches and wizard stuff and butterflies. And yeah, when I look, it's cute. Right? It's a little crystal ball. That's kind of cute. But when I look back on these pages, I'm just like, they're cute, right? And more cutouts, all cut out from the insert of the album. I made great use of the album cover and the inside. A lot of this stuff is obviously Xeroxed, and I think that's that's a Xerox. Pretty damn near everything is Xerox. It is indeed, everything is Xerox. Yeah, this is an early page, and it's pretty evident. This is an original postcard. I think I might have shown the postcards, or I intended to do a video, which is kind of dumb because there's only a handful, but they stand out, and I think I need to do that. This, I definitely didn't tear up my copy. You'll see it later in the Wild Heart Tour books. And I think this photo is from Belladonna, but since Herbert Worthington used this image on his stationery, and I received the stationery around Wild Heart era, that's why that stuff is in my Wild Heart scrapbooks. But this, I think, this is definitely cut out of an envelope, but a duplicate, not one of my letters. And I think because it was pretty damaged or something, because in the Wild Heart Tour book, I even have somebody else's envelope because I just didn't want to cut up the stationery at all. It's again, it's corny. It's just my way, but it's all little pieces of, stuff from long ago. So cutting this one up was kind of hard. But yeah, this page definitely made in 1997, probably right when I started, probably thinking, oh, that's all I'm going to have for those pages. I'm hardly going to have anything for Belladonna. So foolish. And then this one was a more recent made. Again, these are photos definitely from Zap Vintage, who I brought up a couple times. I actually just looked them up on eBay, and they still have pretty much most everything that I've shown you. These were really great photos that they had made available, though. So these were prints made from them. Beautiful photos, Stevie. Just beautiful. Really heavy on the blue hues. I think they might have tweaked them up a bit. I don't know. I don't care. But they are real prints, just, developed by somebody else. And then again, these are the same. Now these were really unique, really special. These I don't see too much online anymore. Why is it so funny how it's showing up in the light so blue like that? Isn't that weird? I wonder if that's just a camera thing. You know how blue and red shows up differently. That's going to be interesting because we have a lot of blue going on in this scrapbook. What with the colors and everything. I wonder if it's like that. When I look at it like this, I don't see it coming out so blue, but on camera, it's crazy. They look radioactive here. It's funny. Anyway, so there's that. And then this was an extra picture. This is sticking out. This is, I think, a copy from one of the calendars that came out. I'm pretty sure. Well, there's a picture like this in the calendar. And this is just a random, I can't even see any print stuff on it. Yeah, so just something I probably got in somebody's collection, or a whole bunch of clippings or something. A lot of times I'll get little random photos. This was a unique one, though. This was a really cool photo that I found on eBay, and it came with some other photos, which we'll see later in this episode, but it's kind of not clear. It's kind of grainy, but it is an original photo. And I think that one of my friends sent me either a clearer copy of this or an outtake, another one of these. And I need to find that. And before I show it, I would certainly want to ask her permission. I'm going to guess, since everything else is for Herbert Worthington, and this definitely looks like the same shoot as the Belladonna cover and the interior, that this is Herbert Worthington. And then these were postcards that came out with her 24 karat gold sets. Some of the postcards. This was a unique outtake edition, kind of a strange photo with a girl had these for sale, and it was just the two tambourines. Now, I don't know if this is a superimposed, kind of like Herbert had done with, like, say, the Wild Heart, or the picture that I showed earlier. It's kind of hard to see. Where'd that go? Like this, the superimposed, where you can barely make her out, but you know what I'm talking about. So I don't know if that was done that way, or if there were actually two displays of the crystal ball and the roses. I mean, they're so identical, it would be kind of strange, but who knows? But it was just a unique outtake with an addition of that. And then this is another one of the postcards, like those here. Then this came out, this beautiful print. I got so many copies of it. Shocking, I know. So many copies of the Vinyl Me Please, I think it was, who did the Belladonna reissue on the beautiful Galaxy, one of the most beautiful records I've ever owned in my life. And the pressing and just everything about it was phenomenal. And inside them, and I don't think I even showed it on the video because I had mentioned that I had taken one out, the one copy that I have open. I took the picture out. This came with the record, like a little lithograph. It's 12 by 12 shape, and I decided to put it in my scrapbook. I have several other copies of the album, so that album I keep open to play and to use, and then took this out, but I have other copies that are sealed and still have their print inside, so it stays together, because I can't have anything all separated like that. Sometimes I hear myself when I'm making these videos, and I'm like, good Lord. But it's okay. I'm completely happy with it. I mean, I get over it real quick because I just love everything that I have, and I like sharing it with you, and possibly I'm making somebody else feel better about themselves who's just like me, who, buys keychains and just keeps them in a bottle and things like that, This is a really great print. This came from Book City, another one of those stores in Hollywood. This did not come with that huge assortment I bought from that person who owned that store, but I remember them selling them at the time. And I think these are the same prints that Herbert Worthington had signed. Some of them have dual signatures, and I have 2, I think, and they're in the Wild Heart tour book. I keep saying issues, and I keep saying tour book. But I think it's this print that Herbert Worthington also had for sale. And so this guy probably at Book City had copies, but the ones that Herbert had were signed by he and Herbert Worthington. This I would have really liked to have had double signed. But I have one which is all in black, and that one might just only be signed by Herbert Worthington. And then the second one I have is that one with the snakeskin background that, again, we'll get into. I think that's Wild Heart also. And that's signed by Stevie and Herbert Worthington. But I know that Herbert had 5 prints, I think 5 options where he had signed them. He and Stevie had them both signed. So in getting into this one is a one I had recently made, and one I also might have shown earlier in a like one of my little pop-ups or in between videos. But this was some sheet music I found not too long ago. So ecstatic running across that. And some cool live shots from the HBO special that I thought went really well with because I'm pretty sure that's what she's singing in these pictures, what with the cape and everything. It's Edge of 17. And then this one I was really proud of. These were, this was an old bumper sticker. And then this photo is in, I think, the Wild Heart tour book. And then this photo has been circulating for some time. This is a copy. Actually, all but this tiny one are copies here. Trying to think. I think this one has been circulating for a while, but this was one of the clearer copies that I got. And then again, I think that this one is, because I think she's with the girls in all this one. It looks almost like a close-up just of this shot right here. But I think this one, or again, another one similar, was used in a calendar. No, it was this one. Sorry. But definitely all the same sitting, except for this one. And this is just a little sample copy from a proof sheet of Stevie and Christopher. So I really dug kind of the layout for that one. Now this one was a really cool thing. This one, again, I think I showed in my little pop-up, but this was, these pages, this picture was from a magazine as well as another one on the other side. And then some of these, again, on the other side, came from a little booklet that got torn apart. But this one I think I'd shown because I'd used some of the feathers and kind of glued it on there, kind of to 3D it. The little, it's like the feathers in the background. So clever. Thought that was so cool. I really like this page. And then here is another magazine photo. This is the little one that is a copy. Actually, it's not a copy. It's taken from that book. There was the one I had shown earlier, I think, from Belladonna. And those two photos were brand new in this little kind of CD-sized book that came out in 2000, maybe. I'd shown it, and I'd reviewed it or talked about it in one of my book videos. And then this was a cute little pass from the Wild Heart Affair. Again, if you saw my video somewhat recently on the keychains, I showed the little keychain that came with it. And then he had these passes, which was really cute. Event access that you got with the Feel All Special. And just because the photo is used, I just put that with it. Then a random picture, I don't know, just filling space. I thought it went. Oh no, this picture is, sorry, connected to the magazine, that's why. And then this is a like a sepia toned, I think this is a copy of a, yeah, this is a copy of a proof sheet, the larger ones. And you'll see a lot of these. I'll show you, kind of go back to explaining it. I have some other proof sheet takes, and I think I mentioned again in another video where I said that some are like proof sheets with like or like negative strips where it's all the negatives and they're the really small pictures. Proof sheets can be like, you know, maybe 2x2 or 3x3. It just depends on size. And I've still yet to look it up because, you know, why would I do that? I just keep talking about it and not knowing the information. But I'm sure that there's different names for all those different sizes of prints and such that they do, proof sheets, negative sheets, things like that. But these are just a little bit larger. And I just thought that one was really pretty. So that wraps it up for the first episode of volume, what I say, 5 we're on with the Belladonna. And we have so much more to go. And I mean, even the next video is going to be starting out with just some really amazing, great photos that I have. So I hope you enjoyed it. And we'll see you next time. Have a great night. Bye.